First off, just as always for me, like what an awesome game. But it's all glory and praise goes to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Just thankful for such a incredible regular season. Our guys were able to accomplish a lot of great things, no matter how dim it looked to start the season. Just proud of our guys for continuing to battle every single week, finding a way to win games, and to now, finish on a high note, winning here versus a really good team. Really proud of our guys.
D'Amico, did you find yourself at all during the game paying attention to the score of the Jacksonville game, and what went into when you decided to take your players out?
Of course, I saw the score of the game, and Jacksonville was up, so we got a few guys out, I guess, and that's the whole thing about, everybody's talking about resting starters. It's hard to take everybody out. You only get 48 guys to go play on game day, so it's hard to take everybody out. But when we saw, where they were in that game, and they were up at a pretty big lead, so pulled out selected guys when I could.
Nico, when you look at Tommy and the way that everyone, the coaching staff and the locker room has talked about him and how he's been a quiet, unsung hero for this defensive line, how excited was it to see him get on the last play of the regular season?
Yeah, there was a huge moment for our team, fitting way to end the game. Thought we would get Tommy. I told him on Friday, the team is going to go crazy when Tommy scores a touchdown. So we thought he's going to get in. Earlier in the game, he did it, but to close it out the way he did, getting in the end zone, that's why you saw our entire sideline running down, celebrating with Tommy. Fitting for a guy who just does everything the right way. Everything you ask a guy to do, he's a coach's dream. He's always in the right place, always doing what you ask him to do, and very cool way for him to have that clutch moment and end the game with a touchdown.
Coach, can you talk about, you mentioned you pulled out several players and Davis Mills came in and really sort of closed it out. That, to me, that sort of added a crown to what he did for those 3 games when CJ was out, and then several other backup players. But they sort of held the fort down just to keep that game when you could win it at the end.
When Davis went in there, we were a little bit ahead of the 2-minute warning there at the end, and I told the guys it's time for a little Mills magic. Like, that's what he's done before. We've seen him lead our team to victory there in 2-minute situations. So everyone was calm in the moment, understanding that we knew Davis would be able to make the plays to get us down. We wanted to get in range there to hit the field goal, and Davis did exactly that. We threw the ball, ran the ball, whatever we needed to do to gain yards. Davis was able to execute the offense in such a great manner to put us in position to win the game.
Well, D'Amico, I know certainly you would have loved to have had a game that didn't come down to the very end like this. But then again, on the other side of that coin, how much does it help you with a back-and-forth game like this, getting ready for the playoffs, knowing how tight those playoff games are going to be?
As I told our guys after the game, we've been in all sorts of games, you name it. And what I'm most proud of is our guys find a way to finish, no matter if it's like it was today, in that fashion where you need a drive at the end, the 2 minutes, you need to close it out. Hey, we can go do that. We're not shying away from any of those moments. That's the game of football. And you're never just going to line up and just blow everybody out. That's not realistic. But you got to persevere no matter how it looks. You keep persevering. You keep making winning plays throughout the game, and you'll end up on top.
Wanted to see consistency from the offense coming into this week. How did you like how they performed there in the first half, the first team in particular, in the first half?
Yeah, I thought how many points did we have? Yeah, we had over 30 points. Again, I thought our offense did enough to get us down, score points. Just shout out to Amy. We can't be where we are right now without Amy and what he's been capable of doing. All right, to hit 6 field goals today, tied for his career high, tied for most field goals in NFL history in a season. Like, a lot of times I tell our guy, you take for granted when you have such a great kicker who's able to secure you points, right? Even if things don't go your way in the red zone, you want to score touchdowns every single drive, but it doesn't happen. You get in range, and you got a sure-footed kicker who can make those points. And we're so thankful for Amy and how he consistently has performed throughout this entire year.
Hey, D'Amico, what's the mindset now as you guys get ready for the playoffs and going in as a wild card team? How did things kind of shift at this point?
Nothing shifts for us is when it comes to our mindset. Our mindset never changes. We don't turn it up because we're in the playoffs. We continue to grind out, put the work in, do what we have to do to practice really well throughout the week, no matter who our opponent is. We got to have a great week of practice, and that shows up, whenever that game is, how we work throughout the week, it'll show up then. So our process, our mindset doesn't change.
Nico, when you don't have a guy like Nico out there, it's sometimes a little bit more challenging to get the ball spread out. But how pleased were you when it came to seeing your Jalen and Jaden stepping up and down the stretch?
All the guys did a great job at the receiver position when they had their number called. All the guys did a great job catching the football, running after catch, making some plays. Hutch made a play. Higg was able to get a touchdown for us. Dalton, man, what a one-handed catch he made on third down. So multiple guys stepped up and made plays for us.
Nico, last one. Apologies if you've already explained it, but with the CJ rushing touchdown in the second quarter, was the goal to get Tommy the ball on that play?
The goal was to score, baby. Touchdown.
Congratulations. All right, thanks. Next week. All right. Did we go into that at all? No.
Well, CJ, obviously you knew you probably wouldn't play the whole game if Jacksonville got a big lead on Tennessee. How did you feel when you found out, okay, you're done?
I wanted to keep playing. I feel like I was just getting in the groove. And, we had a rough first quarter, but I felt in the second quarter, we were moving the ball, scored in the red zone twice. Always, whenever I get the chance to play, I want to play as much as I can. So, but I understand why I wasn't able to and, got to just move on.
What are your thoughts about 12-5 and moving on into the playoffs now and going to either Baltimore or Pittsburgh next week?
Yeah, for me, I just got to give God the glory, man. I think I look back at this year, I look back at my life, I look back at everything that I've been through. I know he's had his hand on me, even in times where it doesn't feel like it. But I think, just a testament of, you don't really learn on mountaintops. You really, most of the time, you learn in valleys. And I think, the Lord has, really had his hand on his team from, our head coach all the way down to, our players. And I think, I'm just really grateful that, God has put us together on this 2025-26 Texans team. And, we got the world ahead of us, but to go out and be 12-5 in the regular season, the best record I've had so far in the league, with the start we had, it's just been a blessing. I'm just really grateful to God that, I have my brothers and teammates to do it with.
Well, talking about that, do you not feel like that the testimony that you and D'Amico and all the players are giving, that I know everybody says, oh, God doesn't care about football, but that he is blessing you guys because of the testimony that you're giving this season?
Yeah, I think I don't want it to ever be confused. I don't think God is like the Texans are going to win, but I think regardless of win or loss, he gets the glory, and that's up to us, and that's just worship. And I think him giving us our talents, our abilities, and these jobs, he's more than worthy of all the worship, and that's just really why we do what we do. It's not because we want favor from the Lord, even though that would be nice. But I think in my opinion, you don't just get favor from the Lord because you just give him glory, but he deserves it and he's worthy of it. And I look back on my life, he's been faithful. But yeah, it's just not because we all follow Jesus that we just win every game. But regardless and I think it shows the world when you lose and you do not doing well, how you profess your faith or you go about your life when things aren't going great is the testimony and really the testament of your faith and your journey and your witness to everybody else.
See that you all were able to move the ball downfield there in the first half while y'all were there. Did you feel like y'all were able to accomplish what y'all set out to accomplish as an offense as you close out the season?
Yeah, I think we moved the ball really well. And even the first quarter, we just, I had the intentional grounding and missed a couple reads, and I think, there was a couple of those, in every aspect. And I think at the end of the day, we overcame it, and that's a good thing. But we got to get those things fixed, if we want to go win in the playoffs. And, I'm aware of that, and I think our coaches are, and I know everybody is here. So we're going to get those things fixed. And, but at the end of the day, it's all about finishing and getting wins. And I think the way we ended this game is a testament to how our season's kind of gone. A lot of up and down, but I think if you just stay faithful, you stay. And it's, like I told y'all before, it's easy to have faith when it's easy, but when it gets a little hard, who has the real faith. And the work that we put in, I think, we trust in one another, to get the job done.
CJ, forgive me if you already asked this, but on the touchdown run at the goal line that you ran it in for 2 yards, was that supposed to be a run for Tommy, or was that a design run for you?
No, it was for Tommy. It was for Tommy. I felt bad because, it's always weird when you're under center and, they got some big boys over there. And I know he's a big guy. And he's breathing and, I'm like, I got to get out. I don't want to get my foot stepped on. And so I, skipped out. And Gerard was like, don't skip on this play because it's going to happen faster than you think. And so we only walked through. We didn't get a live rip, I don't think. But so I didn't skip, and then I went back to my human nature, and I skipped out and I missed him. And I felt so bad. I went over there and did 5 push-ups for him, but I'm good though. I'm good. We finished. He got his touchdown. Nobody can be bad at me anymore. But I'm just happy for my guy. I love Tommy. That's one of my Buckeye brothers. I've known Tommy since I was 18 years old. So he's a great player, but also a great human. I'm just really happy to see him really prevail in this league and have great seasons back to back.
Hey, CJ, I know you kind of answered it before, how this game is almost like the season, right? The way it ended on a high note after kind of starting rocky. How do you feel about going into the playoffs as a team this year as opposed to your first 2 years? How much more experience do you feel?
Yeah, I feel great. I think I was telling the Evan Washburn out there, just the experience that we do have from me having a little more experience to our defense, our offense, our special teams, our coaches, our front office, everybody. We know what it takes to win these games, and that's just a really, really solid execution plan and executing the little things because. Everybody thinks you go to the playoffs, you got to do all the extraordinary stuff. But it's really the ordinary, the team that does the ordinary stuff better than the other team wins. And so I think, for me, I got to just take completions, take care of the ball. And I think when we look at the end of the game, whenever we play, we'll see our result and, see what happens there.
See, what do you think about where this team, just kind of overall, to be able to go on a 9-game winning streak? And finish the way you all have been able to do. What does that really say about you guys overall as a team and what you all hope to be in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think, when we don't get in our own way, even though every game, somehow, some way, that's going to happen and on both sides of the ball. But I think when you look at how we're built, roster to coaches to, scheme, we're built tough. And I think, you look at in here, you got swarm and, relentless. And I think, that's, what we try to embody every game. And I think we've finally bought into it. And I think as an offense, swarming looks different than defense swarm or special team swarm. I think we found that groove. And, I'm just excited, man. I'm really, motivated to, get going this next week. But I'm going to enjoy this win, enjoy this regular season, and, get back to work tonight. And I'm excited to, go in the playoffs and, try to make some noise. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good one.
No problem. I don't guess Davis is coming in, is he? Okay, I didn't think so.